For my graduation, my parents gave me a disownment letter. From all of us, my mother announced at the restaurant. My sister recorded my reaction, clearly for their amusement. I thanked them, collected the envelope, and walked out. They had no idea what I had already done. The restaurant was one of those upscale places where servers dressed in black and spoke in hushed tones. Crystal chandeliers hung above, and each table had fresh orchids. Claudia, my mother, had insisted on making reservations at Romano's 3 months in advance, claiming it was to celebrate my law school graduation from Stanford, where I had finished top of my class. She said the whole family would be there. I should have suspected something. When I arrived, they were already seated. My father, Raymond, wore his Navy suit, the same one he wore to board meetings, at the head of the table. My sister, Miranda, sat beside my mother, her phone in hand, barely acknowledging me. My brother-in-law, Quentin, gave me an awkward nod. He was the only decent one in the family, but he had long learned to stay silent. "There she is," Claudia said, her voice artificially sweet. "Our graduate." I sat, smoothing my navy blue dress, simple yet elegant. None of them had attended my graduation 3 days earlier. Claudia had a charity luncheon, Raymond a golf tournament, and Miranda was getting her nails done. Dinner started routinely. Raymond ordered an expensive wine without consulting anyone. Claudia talked about her upcoming trip to the Hamptons, while Miranda complained about her interior designer misunderstanding her poolside cabana vision. I pushed my pasta around and waited. Dessert arrived, tiramisu, and Miranda angled her phone at me. The little red recording light glowed. Claudia reached into her designer handbag. "Your father and I have been discussing your future," she said, placing a manila envelope between us. The paper was crisp, formal, legal. "We've decided it's time you stand on your own," Raymond added, in that patronizing tone he reserved for explaining why he wouldn't fund one of my mother's shopping trips. "You're a lawyer now. You don't need us anymore." My heart raced, but my expression remained neutral. Claudia slid the envelope closer. "This formally severs all financial and legal ties. You're no longer a beneficiary of any trust, will, or family assets. It's for your own good." Raymond sipped his wine. "You'll thank us later." I opened the envelope. Inside were notarized, signed documents. A formal disownment letter revoking my inheritance, ceasing all financial support, and terminating access to family accounts. Claudia's diamonds caught the light as she gestured. "From all of us." I read slowly, letting the silence stretch. Miranda kept recording, likely hoping for a reaction she could laugh about later. Instead, I folded the papers, smiled, and said, "Thank you. This is generous of you." I gathered my purse. "I appreciate all the effort. The lawyer fees must have been substantial." Raymond's face darkened. "You're not going to make a scene." "Why would I?" replied. "You've given me the most valuable gift I could ask for." I tucked the envelope under my arm, freedom from them. Miranda's phone lowered in confusion. I walked out without looking back, listening to Claudia's indignant voice. Let them think they'd won. They had no idea what I had already done. 3 years earlier, during my first year at Stanford, I'd gone home for Thanksgiving. Miranda had announced her engagement to Quentin. Claudia was thrilled. Finally, a child marrying well. Later, I overheard them discussing family assets, trust funds, and inheritance. They dismissed me as a failed investment, a daughter without prospects, destined to earn little as a public defender. They decided to wait until graduation to cut me loose if I passed the bar. I left quietly but began planning. The next day, I returned to school early and sought guidance from Professor Sarah Jennings, a respected corporate law mentor. "I need your help," I told her. "I want to learn everything about trusts, estate planning, and protecting assets. I need to ensure no one can ever control me financially." Professor Jennings studied me for a moment. "This is personal." "Very," I said. We started intensive, practical training. Over 3 years, she introduced me to contacts in estate planning, corporate law, and investment banking. I learned wealth management, asset protection, and financial independence. I worked internships unrelated to my ultimate career but crucial to understanding money. By my second year, I began consulting on the side, handling small cases for startups. I built a reputation for thorough, discreet work. By my third year, I invested in a cybersecurity startup, DataStream, in exchange for 2% equity. Within 6 months, the company grew from 3 people in a garage to 50 employees. Upon graduation, DataStream was acquired for $800 million, making my stake worth $16 million, completely secret from my family. The week before graduation, I had my attorney draw up papers formally renouncing any claim to family assets, a preemptive measure against future interference. I'd planned to confront them myself, but they did it first and made it far more satisfying. After the dinner at Romano's, I drove to my Palo Alto apartment, a modest one-bedroom I'd rented for a year. Everything I owned fit in my car. The apartment felt lighter somehow, despite the boxes I still needed to pack. I poured a glass of wine and sat by the window, watching Stanford's campus lights flicker in the distance. This place had been my sanctuary, but it was time to step fully into the life I'd been quietly building. I remembered the day I signed the DataStream paperwork. The founders were skeptical when a law student offered to restructure their corporate framework for equity rather than cash. They had experienced expensive lawyers who delivered cookie-cutter solutions. I spent 3 weeks analyzing every aspect of their business: intellectual property protection, founder vesting schedules, investment terms to protect them from predatory venture capitalists, and employee stock option plans to attract top talent. I built a scalable legal framework for their growth. When I presented my work, their lead developer, Marcus Chen, stared for 10 minutes. "This is better than anything we've received from firms charging $20,000. Why equity?" "Because I believe in your vision," I told him. "And someday, that equity will be worth more than any hourly rate." They gave me 2% equity, which later increased to 3% as they valued my input. I continued advising them unofficially, answering questions, connecting them with potential partners, until the acquisition by Cybercore. The final sale valued my 3% stake at $24 million before taxes. After capital gains and state taxes, I walked away with just over $18 million, all completely unknown to my family. I had structured the funds through a private Delaware LLC, ensuring full protection and anonymity. Even if my parents investigated, they wouldn't find a connection. Professor Jennings was the registered agent, and all official communications went through a P.O. box. The week before graduation, I had already accepted a position at Morrison & Associates in San Francisco, a prestigious firm with a $200,000 starting salary, enough to live comfortably, but I had other plans. I began searching for real estate and purchased a penthouse in Pacific Heights with cash, no contingencies, 3 bedrooms, bay views, 2 parking spaces. I furnished it with modern, comfortable pieces I liked, avoiding the overdone antiques my mother preferred, and hired a decorator who understood minimalist elegance. 2 weeks after the dinner, I received an email from Miranda. The subject line, "Hope you're enjoying your independence." Inside was a group photo from a family gathering I hadn't been invited to. Claudia, Raymond, Miranda, Quentin, Uncle Preston, Aunt Sylvia, and 20 others at the country club, all smiling. Champagne glasses raised. The message, "Don't worry, we're not missing you. Family celebration without the dead weight. XO?" I deleted it without replying. Instead, I called Professor Jennings. "I'm ready to start the firm," I told her. We had discussed opening a boutique law firm specializing in tech startups. She would be senior partner, bringing experience and reputation. I would be junior partner, bringing energy, connections, and capital. Our 3-hour conversation covered office space, hiring strategy, and client goals. "Are you sure about the capital investment?" she asked. "Starting a firm in San Francisco isn't cheap." "I'm sure," I replied. "We have enough funds to operate for at least 2 years without a client." Jennings was quiet for a moment. "You've never mentioned having this kind of money." "I earned it," I said simply. "And I've been careful about who knows. My family thinks I'm just another struggling associate. I'd like to keep it that way." She smiled. "Your secret is safe with me, though I suspect it won't stay secret long once people see what you're capable of." The firm became my focus. We found office space in the financial district, a corner unit on the 20th floor with Bay Bridge views. The lease was expensive, but location mattered. The space was professional yet welcoming, where a tech founder in a hoodie felt as comfortable as a corporate executive. Custom bookshelves, a conference room with video capabilities, and practical modern furniture created the ideal working environment. Hiring was selective. We needed brilliant, diligent associates who understood we were building a different model from traditional big law. Grace Feldman, a Berkeley graduate skilled in contract negotiation, and James Park, who left corporate law to work with startups, were perfect fits. Marketing was strategic. I leveraged contacts from consulting years. Marcus Chen from DataStream became an unofficial ambassador. Professor Jennings tapped her academic network, bringing established companies that needed specialized expertise. Articles for legal journals positioned us as thought leaders, while a clean professional website highlighted our expertise and credentials without overstatement. Jennings Legal Partners opened on a Tuesday in November, exactly 6 months after that dinner at Romano's. Champagne in the conference room at 5 p.m., just the four of us. No press, no party. We toasted quietly and returned to work. The first month was slow, as expected. Building a reputation takes time, especially against established firms, but with patience and capital, we could weather the quiet period. Our first major client arrived in September, a biotech startup needing guidance on FDA regulations and patent law. Grace led the patent applications while I handled corporate structuring. 4 months later, the product launched successfully, and the client referred 3 more companies. By December, we had a steady flow of clients. Each case reinforced our reputation as a boutique firm that understood startups, technology, and complex corporate needs. Our approach, personalized, precise, and practical, set us apart from traditional firms. Grace and James proved invaluable, handling cases with expertise and discretion, while Professor Jennings and I provided strategic guidance and oversight. Meanwhile, my family remained unaware of my achievements. They still assumed I was a struggling, awkward daughter with no prospects or social connections. Miranda sent occasional passive-aggressive messages, but I ignored them. The disownment letter, which they thought was punishment, had only given me freedom. I had already built my career, my wealth, and my network. I focused on growing the firm. We invested in training, continued networking in Silicon Valley, and offered pro bono consultations to promising startups that could become future clients. Our reputation grew and referrals increased. By the end of our first year, we had several long-term clients, including tech and biotech startups, venture-backed companies, and emerging enterprises seeking legal guidance tailored to their unique structures. The firm became more than a job. It was a platform to create opportunities and protect innovators. I maintained complete control over my finances, leveraging the knowledge and experience I had gained under Professor Jennings. I built additional legal structures to manage client relationships, investments, and future expansions. Every decision reinforced independence and security, ensuring that no one, including my family, could influence my path. Through it all, I never sought revenge. My success wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about building a life that aligned with my values and ambitions. By the time I walked out of Romano's, I had already achieved what mattered most: autonomy, knowledge, and the ability to control my own future. The quiet satisfaction of having planned years ahead allowed me to navigate my family's attempts at drama with calm and clarity. Every step, my education, investments, consulting work, and the founding of Jennings Legal Partners, was deliberate. My parents had believed they were cutting me off, but in truth, they had set the stage for my most significant achievements. Now, fully independent and successful, I reflected on how preparation, foresight, and strategic action could turn even the most challenging circumstances into opportunities. Freedom, in this case, wasn't just financial. It was complete autonomy over my life and choices. Every decision I made, every case I took, and every client I served was part of the life I had built for myself, free from their influence. Jennings Legal Partners continued to thrive, becoming a recognized boutique firm for tech startups and emerging companies. My role as co-founder and partner allowed me to shape the firm's culture, values, and client services. I stayed hands-on, ensuring that our approach remained practical, thorough, and innovative, while also mentoring the next generation of lawyers in the same way Professor Jennings had guided me. In the end, what started as a disownment dinner at an expensive restaurant became a turning point. It didn't break me, it liberated me. And from that moment onward, every step I took, every client I advised, and every business I supported was a testament to the years of planning, learning, and quiet preparation that led to my freedom and success.